Welcome to the after party. Welcome to the after party. Did you bring some snacks and treats? I hope you got me something to eat. Welcome to the after party. Coming to the after party. I've been waiting here all day to act like a fool this way. Welcome to the after party. Join us in the after party. Oh, shocking and dabbing, maybe some microphone grabbing at the after party. With DJ Eric, Canada Graphs, and the DC TV show. Everyone, welcome. Again, I haven't brought you guys up on screen. They're talking in the background. I haven't even brought them up on screen yet. We have Ben from the DC TV show here. Welcome. Your mic's muted. There you go.
Okay.
All right. And Canada Graphs is in the house. So
hey.
Welcome. So welcome to the after party. Armageddon. Everything is being destroyed. So I figured I would throw my hat in the ring with that. So excited. We have some fun topics this week. We're going to talk about Batwoman and some of the stuff that happened in the mid-season finale and where we think the show might be heading, directions are going to be heading. We also have a new segment, which is Viewer Question of the Week, where we're going to talk about some questions that you guys left over in the community tab. Don't run over there right now and do it. You had plenty of time. We've already selected our questions. So if you didn't do it earlier, you don't get a chance now. But next week, check the community tab for the Viewer Question of the Week, and we'll have a lot of fun there. Also, my 2 videos that I were planning today did not go up because yesterday was a holiday in the United States. I'm not a big celebrator of holidays in general, but there was a lot of family stuff going on. I was out of town.
Thanksgiving, bro.
Friendsgiving. No, so I was out of town and I had a car accident while I was not driving. Somebody was mad. They saw my reviews. And they decided to attack me.
It was Gary, guys.
So they broke the windshield on my car. So, I know. So I had like car trouble and I didn't get in until like literally when I scheduled the after party was when I got home. So I haven't been home very long. So those videos will come out over the weekend, and then next week everything will be back on a normal schedule. It's just holidays make everything really weird. So, but thank you so much for joining me. We'll start out with Canada Graphs. Thank you for being here. I expected you to be on set somewhere filming. So
no, not today. Thanksgiving here, even though it's a American holiday, a lot of the production sometimes will give like the more veteran shows, like your Arrow, your Supergirl, something like that. They'll be like, all right, we're going to work around the schedule to let you guys have the time off. So they have almost a skeleton crew running, so they rarely will work the Thursday or Friday of the Thanksgiving American week.
Okay.
So
Makes
sense.
sense.
It's kind of a dead day. I think like 2 productions are actually working right now.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah.
So they'll be off through the whole weekend, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ben, thank you for being here. Did you have a stream? I didn't think you did a stream. I wasn't home yesterday, but you said you weren't doing a stream.
I did a very short stream.
Okay. All right.
It was a last minute thing. I was like, sure, I did. Whatever.
Okay. All right. There we go. Oh, yes. I did see Canada Graph's name, Leveled Up Pagey. So that's a nod, obviously, to the Flash, just constantly leveling up.
Right.
And,
I was going to work on an Australian accent, but I got lazy.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Good,
Makes sense. You know.
That's all I got.
So I'm really excited. We had, I believe that this week was both mid-season finales for both Legends and Batwoman. I think they both went on break. So I have to see. They come back. They're a couple months off, and they come back. But we'll have Superman and Lois and Naomi also premiering very soon, and then the Flash, when it goes on break, won't be back till March. So there will be a small gap where the shows aren't on. Like every year, there's always not every year. Last year was different, but every normal year, there's always a break around this time with the shows. And so Canada Graphs obviously watched Batwoman, so he's going to be discussing Batwoman with me. Ben did not, but there are pictures. It's like when you're a kid and you get like a coloring book or something. You don't have to watch it. You just look at the pictures, and we'll look at some pictures, and then Ben will have a chance to give his opinion on a show that he's not even watching. So there you go. It's going to be a lot of fun. Ben is now leveled up Pagey ×2, so he's even higher
Ooh.
powered
We got two
than
pages.
Canada Graphs is.
I'm,
So.
I'm even more powerful.
Then we'll do
Yeah.
our viewer questions of the week, and then we will talk about The Flash, because The Flash had a crazy, wild episode this week. And so I want to talk more about that and what we think's going on. Because, I mean, also just in terms of viewership, it looks like The Flash is also doing really well compared to what it's been doing, previously. So we'll talk about that briefly. Like live viewership doesn't really matter, but I do want to mention it since so many people seem to be obsessed with live viewership numbers. So let's start out talking about Batwoman, and Ben, you can follow along when we get to the pictures. So Canada Graphs, Batwoman mid-season finale, and it's been a pretty interesting season so far. I think the show has definitely gotten much better than what it was when we left it last year. And I've been enjoying the last few episodes. Just your general thoughts on this mid-season finale. I mean, do you feel... I've seen people say it's good. I've seen people say it was just okay compared to the last couple episodes. Where do you fall in that box, like for Batwoman?
So I've actually watched it twice, because the first time I watched it, I missed a large chunk of it because my internet connection was just dog crap. So between missing chunks of it and being frustrated about my internet, I really didn't pick up a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself at the end of that episode not impressed by it. Then when I watched it the second time around, I'm like, it's better than I thought when I only saw parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I won't say it's the best episode they've had this season. I think, what was it, episode 6 and 5? The ones leading up to it, I think, were much better, but still pretty good.
Okay.
Like, if I were to grade it, I'd put it about the middle of the pack for the first half of the season.
Okay,
which
that makes sense
which
to
is
me.
They've had a good season, I think, so it's a fair grade.
Right. So Ben, I know you're not watching Batwoman. What is someone who doesn't watch it, what could they do to like rope you back in, or why did you step away from the show to begin with? Like what is, are you just not interested in the character? Did you not like last season? Like what is the reason why you haven't been watching the show?
Yeah, well, I was like you you at the start of last season. I was excited for a new Batwoman, and I was like, new Batwoman, Javicia looks really cool. I like the trailers. I watched like the first 4 episodes maybe on the nights they came out, like straight away. So I was proper watching it. But then, to be honest, I just kind of wasn't interested in the story, and like just the fact that it kept on focusing on like Alice and stuff. I don't know. For me, I'm not never been a big fan of Alice, to be fair. And I felt like it wasn't just. I guess I was a bit disappointed by like Javicia didn't get like her whole own big story straight away. Like it's more about Kate and like all this, and yeah, I don't know. It just didn't grab me. But I guess this is actually the first thing in a long time that has grabbed me. The Poison Ivy thing. I know we will talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But like, I'm actually interested. I'm considering watching just to see what's going on.
So I would say, and I don't know if Canada Graphs would agree with me or not, but if you were to just skip over season 2 and come into season 3, you would be slightly confused, but they would catch you up on everything. And I feel like you would be able to get around a lot. I mean, there are characters that left in season 2, obviously. But I think season 3, you don't have to watch. Yeah, there's some that were dragging it down. A lot of the changes they made in season 2, I think, made sense coming into season 3. And so one of the other things the show gets attacked a lot for online is being like woke. And I think the show has gotten away from that kind of storytelling. Like the criticism that people gave it in season 1 and 2 in terms of it like being, and I hate using that word because I feel like that word is just applied to anything that people don't like anymore. But the idea the show is woke or whatever, I think the show has kind of settled in to what it's going to be. Like, I feel like the characters are all in the places where they should have been a while back. I feel like it's a much better show than it was previously because the decisions the characters are making, for the most part, not every decision, but for the most part, feels a lot more organic. It feels natural for the storytelling. Because for me, the only time a plot device or some sort of MacGuffin or whatever becomes an issue is when it breaks my immersion in what I'm watching. And that goes for anything, not just superhero television.
Yeah,
say
gonna
something,
agree
Ben?
with that. Yeah, gonna agree with that in my Australian accent.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez. Let's talk about like one of the things I didn't like from this episode. And Candid Graphs, you can chime in on this. And Ben, I'm going to give you the backstory to it so you can sort of give your opinion as well. So one of the things in this season that a lot of people were critical of when it comes to Batwoman was that Ryan was given temporary CEO status of Wayne Enterprises. Now, I said early on that I felt two ways about it. It didn't make sense to me because I believe Luke Fox would have been the next person that would have been offered that position. That's just my opinion on that. But it also was a story. There was a purpose for her being CEO. I knew it was going to come around. I just didn't know when. And so when they made her CEO of Wayne Enterprises, a lot of people like cried out that this wouldn't happen and this, that, and the other. And in some ways, it's probably accurate. You wouldn't just give CEO to someone. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through to be CEO of a company. It just doesn't happen like that. But they needed it to fast track the story. And we find out the reason why they did that. And here's where, Ben, you can get caught up on this, and I'll get your thoughts on it as well. Her brother that she just met like 4 episodes ago, that is her biological brother, who is now turning into Joker 2.0, basically. And they even gave him the purple hair in this episode, like the color of the hair in the suit. It was like orange and green or whatever. They're turning him into Joker 2.0, which I don't have a problem with that. I really don't have an issue with them turning him into that character because I'm not emotionally attached to any version of the Joker. But the fact that she, without anybody on the board of directors or anyone affiliated with Wayne Enterprises stepping in, was able to, in one day's time, sign over Wayne Enterprises to her brother. I know we're in a fictional world, but that is not how business works. It does not work that way. Not one day. Not companies that size.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say on that, we have to remember that it's its own universe, which we don't know how law exists in that universe. So I understand in our logical brains, anyone that watches it that's in the real world knows no chance in hell that could happen.
Are you saying Batwoman's woke and above our levels?
But in Arrowverse land, who knows how their rules work, man? So
I mean, that's true, but that's why I said there's certain things that break my immersion, and that's one of them. Like, if you're going to make something relatable for me, it has to be believable in my mind, and that just felt without sounding like I'm just hating on this, because I'm not. I just feel like they skipped through too many steps. There should have been there's an outcry from the board of directors and the company doesn't want them to be in charge. Something that made me feel like it just wasn't this magical, like, passing of a torch to someone.
I mean, there's even the fact that she is temporary CEO, which means wouldn't it revert back to Kate Kane if she resigns?
Well, either that or the board of directors, because even if she had 51%, she's still temporary. So
okay. So, I mean, there was, I mean, a minute ago when I was saying that, I was basically just saying you can make an argument against, but in logical sense, there's 100 reasons why this shouldn't have worked.
There is. But my issue is that I've been really, like, for the last 3 or 4 episodes, I've really been pretty much enjoying Batwoman. I haven't had much issues with it. Yep. And this was one of those things where I felt like we're falling back on, like, them quickly doing things that feel like a soap opera, and I don't like that, because I think the show I thought the show had gotten better than that at this point. I mean, we had 2 really strong episodes back to back, with last week being what I think is the strongest episode of the season, maybe one of the strongest episodes of Batwoman ever. In last week's episode. So that was a little weird to me. Now, as far as Marcus being the Joker, or the new Joker, which is clearly where they're going with this character. Ben, I'm going to pass this off to you because you haven't watched it. Do you have a particular Joker that you like, and how do you feel about them creating a completely new Joker that's never been in the comics before?
Wait, is it a completely different version?
I've not been able to find a version of the Joker as that character in the comics, and I've dug for like 3 days. So,
and this version of the Joker has a name?
Marquise or Marcus.
See, I think that kind of takes away from it. Like, that was one of the reasons. Like, remember when Joaquin Phoenix's film was... Sorry, there's a train kidding aside. When Joaquin Phoenix's film was coming out and they said it was an origin, and then, you know, everyone was like, but turned out that film was really good. Joker was very good in my opinion. So I don't know, like there is always the potential that, you know, Joker's supposed to be this kind of mystery character. Making him someone specific is like a bit, you know, it's a bit risky. So I think it can go either way. But my favorite Joker, I mean, I have a lot of Jokers I really like. He's one of my favorite villains, I would say. Well, Heath Ledger's Joker, especially in the films. But yeah, so that would be my favorite for sure.
Okay. What about you, Canada Graphs? Any thoughts on this Joker turn of character here?
I am so far okay with it. I won't make a judgment till I see him in like full on Joker. I mean, he's got the purple hair now.
It's like mid transformation right now.
Yeah, he's still in the early stages of becoming Joker. You know, it's clear that he idolizes the Joker in the way that he talks about him. So, a lot of people, they're gonna have that thing like, well, this isn't the real Joker. And I wonder if Batwoman will be able to get people on board with it, because they've already stated there's a Joker in that universe.
Right.
Same as there's a Poison Ivy in that universe.
Would you guys agree that the Joker is the one Batman villain that is the hardest to change because so many people think of that character in a very specific way, opposed to like Penguin or Riddler or any of the other characters? Any thoughts on that? Would you say that he's a hard character to change, or do you think the Joker is an easy character to just do a different version of?
Okay, so in the last one was Heath Ledger, like 10, 15 years ago. In the last 15 years, we've had 3 different movie versions and who knows how many TV versions. I don't keep up on all the different shows. And one of them was nominated for an Academy Award. One of them wasn't the movie nominated. Like, people are okay with various versions of the Joker.
Okay.
I mean, I obviously, you know, after Heath Ledger, I have a strong opinion that I didn't care for the idea of giving Jared Leto or the other guy that title so soon. But lots of other people seem happy with it.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of people, no matter how bad the first Suicide Squad movie was, still think the Joker was great. And I'm just like, I don't see it, but that's up to you, you know?
Yeah. Sorry. What about you, Ben? What do you think? Do you think the Joker is a character that just does it, that can't evolve into something else, or?
I definitely think it can evolve into something else. And I think, like I said, I think Joaquin Phoenix's Joker evolved into something different than just your normal Joker. So it definitely can be done. I didn't watch Gotham when they had their version of Joker, so I can't comment on that.
That one was a convoluted one. It was very hard to follow.
Did they ever actually officially call him Joker on Gotham?
They never. Yeah. No. They came out and said they couldn't. So they were like, basically their hands were tied on that one. But I'll say this, and this is in sort of defense of Jared Leto's Joker from Suicide. I know I can't believe I'm saying this, but
Eric,
I actually didn't mind a modern Joker, because I think, and again, I am not defending David Ayer or this movie because there's a lot of issues with it, and I don't care about seeing another cut of the movie, anything like that. I think what they were going for, from what I took away from it, was they wanted to go for that ridiculous, almost cracked psyche Joker, who's very like corny and funny, but making him a modern gangster. That's what I think they were trying to do with him. And I don't think it just didn't work as well as they wanted it to. And I wish that we could have seen a more polished version of that, because I like that idea. The concept was okay with me. I just don't think the execution happened as well. So,
I mean, it's clear that they tried to make him like a gangster Joker, but I think it's way over the top. Like, it's, you know, with the tattoos and with everything, it's just like...
No, I agree. I think that they missed the mark on it. Radical Z with a $2 super chat, not related to Batwoman, but we're going to answer it anyway. I will say Kramer still gets on my nerves on The Flash. So here's the thing. I was very vocally not a fan of Kramer last season. I am actually changing my mind a bit. She doesn't bother me as much as she did, and I think it's because of the way they're using her on the show. And that just we'll dive more into that when we get to the Flash section. But any quick thoughts on this? Is Kramer bothering either of you at all?
She didn't last season for me as much as other people. I wasn't sitting there going, I want more Kramer time, but I wasn't also upset by her. This season, I think the reason people are annoyed with her again now is just because of what her scene was with Barry. You know, the whole telling him he has to quit and all that. I think that's why people are mad with her. Because she did something against
that's part of the story,
like.
though. That's the story, though.
Oh, I understand. Yeah. I understand that, but I think that's where people's people get into that frame of mind that anyone that does something negative to the heroes, all of a sudden they don't like.
Yeah, well,
and I think that's kind of where some of this Kramer dislike is coming back.
I get that.
The Kramer hate. Yeah. What do you think?
Her first appearance, people didn't really. You weren't seeing that. Oh, I can't stand Kramer stuff nearly as much the first time, but this week, all of a sudden, they're back again.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of get that, and I get people's frustrations. And I also see that she's not as annoying, but I still don't like the character. There's nothing this season from her 2 scenes that has given me a reason to like her, because
That's probably why I'm not annoyed with her. She hasn't been in that much.
Yeah,
yet, so.
She's just like a character who's there. Like, sometimes like a random character will pop back up from season 4 or something. You know, that guy with the weird eye. He pops up and you're like, yeah, whatever. Like, why the hell are you showing this, man? You know?
Yeah. Or like Goldface. Like Goldface.
Oh, yeah, Goldface.
The hotness will be coming back.
Oh, no. All right. So thank you for the super chat, Radicals. Yeah, I appreciate it. All right. So we're going to talk about one more thing from Batwoman. And this is probably the most controversial. This is very, very controversial, I guess. I see it all over social media. And this is the Mary Poison Ivy transformation here. And so, chat, I saw this on their Twitter feed, and I'm like, we have to address this, okay? The picture on the left of the screen is the one that was shown last week as a promo for the upcoming transformation into Poison Ivy. And I was very excited because I thought, even though it looked like a proto suit, I thought it was a very cool suit, right? So I think it's a very neat design, because I actually feel like the corset on the left side looks like a botanical frame for like plants and stuff, which I thought was really neat. And then you had the scaly shorts, which are similar to like Aquaman or something, but they sort of look like plant leaves as well. You have the cool gloves that have the design that's very prominent there, and a very tailored top, which I thought was very neat. You can't really see the boots in that picture. And the hair looks really good. Now on the right side was the one that was on the show this week, and it looks not great to me. Okay, let me explain why. First of all, the cool corset that she has in the concept photo is now just a basic, I can order it from Amazon corset. That's what that is. It still has the straps or the lace around the waist of it to make it like a belt, which I think is fine. The shorts are now just regular pleather shorts. The hose, which have like stoning on them in the left side, still has the stoning, but it doesn't pop as much against those shorts compared to the ones on the left side. The gloves still have some sort of pattern on them, but you really can't tell. And the top of it, like the I guess the jacket part of it, is probably the one thing that looks the most like the concept art, except it's cut a little bit differently. The hair looks great. And Mary looks great. I think her makeup looks really, really good in this show.
Yeah, she looks cool.
And you can't see in this picture, but she had some really, really, really bad green boots in it as well. They were like completely, it wasn't even the same color green as the rest of the outfit. And there's a lapel mic on her top as well. A little lapel mic there.
Black.
So, and yeah, I get it. A lot of people on the channel, like, you're missing the point. She's hot. I don't like to objectify characters like that. I prefer to think of them as cool comic book characters. And for me, how hot a character is doesn't really factor into my opinion of their costume. Doesn't matter who they are. So for me, I like the concept art better than the stuff that happened in the show. That's just my opinion. We'll go with you, Ben, because you're not watching the show. So just based on these photos, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, like I said before, I think this is the first thing that has actually piqued my interest to be like, oh, maybe I need to watch Batwoman again, because apart from that, all their storylines have been like nothing too appealing to me. And then I'm like, okay, Poison Ivy, I like Poison Ivy. And it's a character who is obviously one of the leads of the show. So what the hell has happened? Like, I'm behind, so I don't know specifically how she's led to this point. However, in terms of the costume and like the difference between these two suits, I don't know why they released a concept art poster like a week before they actually released stills, and like
because they would have already had that filmed. The one on the right would have already been filmed.
Yeah, they could have taken a photo then and then used that and designed a poster around it. You know, it's kind of a bit misleading because the concept art looks really cool. Like the material actually looks really, really nice. Like just look at the detail. If you guys like, I don't know, even just look in and then look on the right, and that looks kind of tacky. Like you said, it's like a cosplay. It's like she's bought something off Amazon. She's like, yeah, I'm going to attach that.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
I will say this for the chat, for everybody that's getting upset about my comments about how I view costumes. That's not I'm not putting this on you guys. I'm not saying that you can't think she's attractive. I didn't say she was unattractive. I literally said that my basis on whether or not I like a costume is not objectively because I think the person is hot or not. That's all I said. I didn't say there was anything wrong with it. You guys are arguing a completely different thing. That is not what I said. You get so mad and so triggered about it. Like, I literally didn't say that. So anyway, keep saying she's hot. I'm sure that she appreciates the praise and admiration. It's fine. What about you, Canada Graphs? What do you think about the change from the concept picture to the one on the show?
Okay, now that I'm seeing, like, when we were talking before the show, I was looking at them on my phone because I didn't obviously have it up on a larger screen at that time, which is like why I missed when you're talking about the mic. Now that I see this here and I can see the finer details.
It's not even that fine.
Man, that is okay. This is the only defense I'll say about it. Maybe what we saw at the end of the episode that they're showing us here in the promo, the still, not the promo photo, but the still, is the beginning of the suit. Maybe as she's wearing it, it will form more into what we're seeing in the promo photo.
Okay, so you're thinking that the promo photo is like the upgrade of the one that she's wearing on the right.
Right. That's the only defense I can make of it. Because if it doesn't turn out to be something like that,
right, yeah.
This televised version of it is the discount bin version of what they showed you in it. I mean, I still thought it looked great on television at first, but that was only because I didn't have a side-by-side comparison to look at the time. Now that I do, I can clearly say, like you said in the before the show, this isn't the same product. You know, it's like going to a store and they're like, oh yeah, here's cornflakes or name brand cornflakes.
Let me just point this out though. I actually don't. So I don't have I don't think the suit on the right is awful for the TV show. Like, I think it's fun.
No. I would have been happy. Right. I would have been happy with this if they didn't show you the first product.
Right. Yeah. It's fine. So, and of course, Mary is beautiful. Like, I don't know why many people thought that I was like inferring that she was.
I can't believe you hate Mary.
Oh. I know, always. No, I think she looks amazing.
Is it just me, or does she look really tall in the photo?
Yes, she does. They
is she wearing like really high boots or something?
I actually think that the picture on the left is like completely concept art. Like, I think they took her and just turned it into like art. Like, I think that I don't think there was an actual photo of her in that suit unless Canada.
But the one on the right, the one on the left kind of looks like her. The one on the right, she looks like, I guess it's the makeup, but I wouldn't recognize Mary. I don't think.
Mary has leveled up. That's what
I just looked at the photo. I just looked at the photo that I got with her, and she's actually a lot taller than I thought she is. I've never noticed it on screen.
The last thing here is that I want to point out before we move on to the questions and stuff, and then we talk about Flash, is I like this story for Mary. This is a really good story for her, and I think so far her connection with Alice, because her and Alice kind of being, on the run together or whatever, this has me very interested in the future of this character. Like, I think this is going to be a really cool just journey for her. So I like it. And like Ben, you said this has got you more interested in the show because this is a character that isn't just like a street level, like gangster character. This is somebody that has powers. This is somebody who has magic. This is a very interesting character to follow on the show. What do you think, Canada Grabs?
I have to agree with most of that. My only question is, we know they cast Bridget Regan to be Poison Ivy. Is she going to just come in to do like a backstory Poison Ivy and Mary will be full on Poison Ivy? Or is Mary just going to be like a holdover until Bridget comes in as a regular and then she'll be Poison Ivy? Or will we have two Poison Ivies? That's my only issue right now is where does this go?
So I have two theories about that. The first one is if there's going to bring in Bridget to play like the original Poison Ivy, I think what we're going to see is Poison Ivy versus Poison Ivy. That's what I think it's going to be. I think Mary will eventually be a good Poison Ivy and, Bridget will be the evil one. The other option is that there is only one person that can be Poison Ivy at a time, and Bridget wants that back. And so the story is going to be a struggle between Mary and Bridget on who actually gets to be Poison Ivy. That's the only thing. And then the third option is what you said, which I hope they don't do, which is just flashbacks. I don't want to see just flashbacks of that character. There is a theory that Poison Ivy has been buried under the Batcave where that tree stump is. That was one of the rumors I saw.
I saw. Obviously they state in the show that Batman was told to bury her alive, but they never implied where. That's not impossible, I guess.
Well, someone said it's because if you remember, Alice made the statement about who puts a tree in a cave anyway, and so it seemed like they were kind of leading to that being a thing.
That honestly, now that you say that, that kind of makes a little bit of sense because again, why is that in there?
Yeah.
And where else would Batman put her that he knew no one else would find her?
Yeah. So Jordan with the $4.99 super chat and a Team Eric member. Thank you, Jordan. Was I the only one that thought Batwoman mid-season finale felt bland? So that was what my title of this was. And before we walk away from this, it's a very great question to wrap all this up on. I felt like this episode was not as good as a fully formed episode as the last couple of episodes have been. I thought this one was just an average episode with a really good cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. Because
was she the cliffhanger?
Poison Ivy and Alice were the cliffhanger, and that and the Joker Wayne Enterprises part. It was like two cliffhangers in it, which I thought were really good. The stuff there's stuff going on with Sophie and Renee and Ryan, which I don't care about. The love story, the love triangle, or whatever. But I think for me personally, that the rest of the show is working for me at the moment, and I really hope that this is the energy they keep for the remainder of the season because we still have another half of the season to go. So, any final thoughts on that, Canada Grass, before we move on?
I can't disagree with it. Like I said earlier, if I had to compare this to episode 6 and episode 5, episode 6 and episode 5 are the top tier I think there's been this season. This one falls about the middle, which for your mid-season finale, you're hoping it would be your number 1 or 2 episode of the first half of the season.
Okay.
Not terrible, but good enough. One thing I want to add on to is, right now, they're locked out of the Batcave.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get Luke his suit back so that so we can have the whole team out there again.
Right. Yeah. So that's the thing is that also with Wayne Enterprises being sold, they can't get into the Batcave. So
yeah,
that's
not that any superhero team can get access to their caves these days, but
right. Okay, so we're gonna jump over and we're gonna move to the viewer question of the week. Now, this is a new segment in the community tab. We're going to start out. We have a question. Next week, I'll be able to show them on screen. Right now, I don't have it set up, so I do apologize. But the first one we're going to ask, we're going to continue with Batwoman because it is the end of that there. Levi Oliver says, after this week's Batwoman, I'm pretty sure Lucius Fox is Ryan's biological father. Thoughts on this theory? Would like for Ryan as a character. I wouldn't. So, quickly, thank you so much for the question, by the way. And what do you think? Do you think Lucius Fox being Ryan's father is something you would want to see on the show and the likelihood of that?
I hadn't thought long and hard of it until I've had people ask that theory a couple times, even in my chat literally the other night or last night. someone brought it up. I hadn't thought about it until the question here. I'm indifferent to it, I suppose. It would obviously depend how it plays out. Is there a good reason for it, and will it work with the show? If it's just there to like somehow connect all the pieces together and be like, oh, they're all just one family, no, I don't need that.
I will say this, and then Ben, I want to hear your opinion quickly before we move on. I don't like too much coincidental storytelling. I think it becomes
that too, yeah.
It becomes obviously unbelievable to me, and I think if you're going to do soap opera stuff like the Wayne Enterprises being signed over in one day or whatever, if you can do one or two of them, but once it starts becoming like a domino of causality because of and consequence and stuff like that, I just tune out. I don't want to see that, and that's not the kind of storytelling I want. So if they do make Lucius her biological father, there needs to be a damn good story behind it, and there needs to be a really good reason for it. What about you, Ben? Any thoughts on that?
About Lucius.
Lucius Fox being Ryan Wilder's father, the new Batwoman's father. Would you want that, or would you not want that for the show?
No.
Okay.
They haven't set it up.
Quick and to the point.
Right.
Yeah, but
All right,
it's like completely out of nowhere. It just doesn't.
Yeah. So the next question is from Robert Blake, who is a Team Eric member. He has two questions, but I just want to answer one of them today. And it is about Stargirl. So this is about Stargirl with brainwave being implanted in Yolanda, or was it just Eclipso? And I know, Candigraphs hasn't watched it and Ben isn't fully caught up on it, but I do want to give my thoughts on this. So I would like to think when it comes to Yolanda, who is Wildcat on that show, that her trauma for brainwave and what was going on in her head was Eclipso manipulating her worst fears or her worst nightmares or her regret. Like, he's been shown to be able to do all kinds of really powerful things. So I would not put it past him to be able to actually manipulate her into thinking that brainwave was still around. That's what I think, because they did not go back to it this season. And I don't know if I'd want that plot point to carry over until next season. So that's how I feel about that with Stargirl. I know that you guys aren't caught up with Stargirl, but I wanted to address that question. So the next question, the last question, because we're doing one from each of us for viewer questions. And this is from Psydude666. And this is, who is your favorite Arrowverse character that isn't the main character of the show? And they say for them, it would be Deathstroke. So I'll let you go first, Ben, because this was the question you selected. Who is your favorite character that is not a main cast character?
Yeah. It's a bit tricky, obviously, because there's so many shows, but obviously my favorite is Supergirl and The Flash, so I'm going to pick one of the two, right?
All right.
So, this is a tough one. I kind of thought, I was like, I'm going to pick this person, but now I'm like doubting myself.
Okay.
I'm going to go Supergirl, and I'm not going to say Mon-El. I'm going to say Alex.
Okay.
I think Alex may be my favorite, along with Mon-El, but I have to choose one.
Do you want to give a reain why she's your favorite, or is it
I've always liked her character, although occasionally, like in the last couple of episodes of Supergirl, she was a bit angry at Supergirl a lot of the time, and I felt that was a bit out of character. But apart from that, it's always been someone, like, every time she shows up, it's a familiar face. I think she's developed really well over the years. And the fact that she ended up with a family, she ended up with this great wedding. Like, it was one of my favorite, like we talked about, Eric. It was an amazing scene. And I'm just super happy with the way that they ended her story. And so, seeing her this week, I think that's the main reason I picked it. Seeing her this week show up after Supergirl has ended, I definitely think, my reaction was like, Alex, like, I got excited. So, if that says anything.
All right. Well, what about you, Candigraphs? Any character you'd like to see for any reason, like, and more prominently in the Arrowverse? Okay.
So, I mean, technically, my answer to it keeps showing up anyways, and that would be Diggle. From, I think, probably the pilot episode of Arrow, he was my favorite character of Arrow through most of that run. There was a couple times where he fell off a little bit and came back, but as far as a non-lead of a show, definitely him. And luckily, he does keep coming back, so it works out.
Right.
But if you're like, I got the question. I mean, he said main character. I thought more he probably meant like someone that's not a regular on a show.
Okay.
That's how I thought of it when I was first reading it. And then when Ben said Alex, I'm like, oh, so this is open up to other people. But my other choice probably would have been Nyssa, just because the character was fun. Like she was a pain in the ass to almost everybody. She always had smart ass lines when they were needed. Like there was few times that character came on screen where I was like, oh, is this over yet? Never. So those would have been my answers in both of those.
Ben, quick reaction to this question from Laura. Tears. Okay, well, there we go. I'm going to go completely, I guess, outside of what I would normally pick. If I were picking based on just my thoughts on a character that I just think generally should have more time in the Arrowverse, would be Nia. I think Dreamer would be my choice.
Nia.
But I'm going to go in a different direction with someone that I didn't initially think was really solid, but then came back and really
choosing Hartley Sawyer.
I am not choosing Hartley Sawyer. Someone that left and came back that was much better in their return, and that is Wally West. I think Wally West was really, really strong the last time we saw him on The Flash. And he's a character that I think could possibly have had his own show about him being the Flash. And, Keenan obviously has other things he wants to do. I get it. I love all of his endeavors and everything that's happening with him, but I will miss this updated version of Wally. And I do hope that he has a chance to come back and portray that character again, because I really enjoyed the more like Sage type Wally West, where he was able to like create Speed Force constructs, which I think is really, really good. And I absolutely enjoy that. So yeah, what is that?
Yes, teacher.
Yeah.
If I was talking about the Flash, okay, I wanted to say my Flash one. I would choose either, Harrison Wells, Earth 2 Harrison Wells, or Kalen. But I would say probably Earth 2 Harrison Wells would be my Flash pick. He is great, and I missed him. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Well, now it is time to talk about this week's episode of The Flash, Armageddon Part 2. And so, we're only 2 episodes in, and I have seen very few complaints about this season. There are some people that are not happy about The Flash right now. And I've tried to listen to their reasoning for why, and I don't totally understand it, to be completely honest. I'm really, really enjoying just the overall tone of The Flash at the moment. Outside of the storylines and the characters, there's something about these last 2 episodes that feels like a return to where we were like 3 seasons ago with The Flash. And that's kind of what I wanted from the show. So I'm really quite excited about the way it is at the moment. Ben, let's jump to you first here, and then we'll let Carrie ask. How are you feeling just in general about this, about the start of season 8 of The Flash? Just your thoughts.
Yeah. Eric's falling into the annually, I can't talk, the annual trap of saying,
okay, there we go.
And then we're going to get another Forces storyline.
So you're predicting another dip in quality. Okay, well, let's go for it. Come on.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, it's really good. I think these first 2 episodes have been very solid. Obviously, there is some issues here and there, but I think it's pretty good. I don't think The Flash is going to get much better. Like, this is like, I don't know. Like, can you ever imagine them doing a season as good as like season 1 or 2 again? Can you imagine? I think it's going to be really hard. You need a villain who is that good. And like, while Despero's good, he's only there for like 5 episodes, and he definitely couldn't extend over a whole season with what they've done, obviously, here. But yeah, I enjoyed the episode so far, and I thought this week's episode was definitely like, it was a lot like there were so many twists and turns, a lot of permanent decisions.
It was a
which
rapid fire
definitely-
episode.
Yeah, and these permanent decisions obviously triggered a lot of people, but it opened a lot of mystery up and a lot of theories, which is very exciting because The Flash has recently not gone with much mystery. Like occasionally
Right.
have a mystery or something, but it's nice to have something where you're like, Joe died.
So much
died
mystery
off
right
screen.
now.
Spoiler, dude.
Fine, they will watch. He died off screen. Like, why the hell would they do that? Well,
Yeah.
obviously there is something else, and that gets you thinking. I like that.
Yeah. So before we get Candigraph's take on it, this is an interesting comment from Radical Z. We all know Eric is craving more Mia and Green Arrow and the Canaries payoff. Also, all this can't be happening. Is it a new universe? I'm shook. So, by the way, I did hear they said to rewatch that backdoor pilot again before the final episode of Armageddon because apparently something from the backdoor pilot is going to get answered in the finale for Armageddon. So go back and watch Green Arrow and the Canaries pilot from season 8 of Arrow. So Candigraphs, your overall feeling of the Flash right now, 2 episodes in of season 8, where are you at with this?
Cautiously optimistic. The best way I describe it, I saw someone else who was a little hesitant to give it the praise it's getting because they're like, oh, we've fallen for this before, like Ben had said, and, been disappointed. I kind of look at this like this is my sports attitude coming in. You look at it as a team that just year after year, they keep slumping. They're not doing good. And they finally get off to a good start. And you're like, this is the year. You have to take the wins where they are. And if it doesn't turn out better in the end, just remember the good parts. Just like season 7, remember the first 4 episodes of season 7 minus episode 3. We all were like, this show's finally turning back around. Look what happened.
That's what Ben was referring to.
Yeah.
Basically.
So I mean, I don't want to sit there and be like, oh yeah, I think the show's finally got its shit together because I don't know if it does.
Right.
This could just be a 5-episode hit, and then and then episodes 6 to 18 could be following the hotness.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't personally. I think it will be a step up from season 7. I just don't know how much of a step up.
Yeah,
that's as much as I'm willing to go right now.
All right, so let's talk about more details here. We got Defunct with a $10 super chat. The Flash has me hooked so far in Armageddon. I hope it keeps leveling up. Without using the aforementioned phrase. Also, take my money. Well, I will gladly take your money. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Yeah, the level up thing, they did it again this week, and I was like, please, no, just don't keep saying that. And
but they leveled down how many times they leveled up.
That's true. So
they only said it like twice.
That's true. They've kind of
they're back where they started. As obvious this week. It wasn't like Iris going to Allegra. Flashback, you leveled up.
Yeah,
it was like flashback.
That is funny. So, but I have faith in at least this graphic novel. I think the next 3 episodes will be as good as these 2 episodes because it feels to me like they really focused on writing these out and making them work. Ben, you made a good point. You said that we don't know who the villain is going to be after Despero, like who the season-long villain is going to be or whatever. Do you think that the graphic novel style will hurt? I mean, how can I phrase this? Do you think the graphic novel style will take away the memorable villains that we would get for like 20 episodes?
Yeah,
I think that's gone.
100%. I think that's gone if they stick with this because, I mean, look back at the past season's villains. Bloodwork, I guess, is the most notable, but still compared to Savitar, I know not everyone's a big fan of Savitar, but people remember Savitar more, I would say, like the general public who watch The Flash, and then you have Eva. No one remembers Eva. She had a couple good episodes, and that's about it. Godspeed for like 2 minutes, and who else did we have? Who was last season?
The Forces storyline with all the
Forces.
Forces.
Exactly. I just forgot.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Like none of these villains, apart from Bloodwork, the first one, are memorable. And if you look at the track record before, yes, the Thinker isn't that good, but more people actually remember the Thinker than these other villains. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think they should eventually go back to it, like next season. But
yeah, we'll see. As far as I know, Sean, this has not been listed as they would have advertised it as the final season, I think, before it, because they've done that with every other Arrowverse show. They've let us know in advance that the show is wrapping up, with the exception of Black Lightning. I think Black Lightning was very late in letting us know that it was the final season, but outside of that, I think they've told us ahead of time. So
I'll just interject in there for a second on that one. In the off season, just before the season started, Grant did an interview with some online YouTube thing, and they were talking about the contracts and all that. And the way he worded it specifically made me fairly certain. Blah. Anyways, made me sure that at that time specifically, he was only signed on for one more year, because the way he worded it was basically like, for now, I'm signed on for season 8, which means they still have to get him to sign on for season 9. So I think right now they haven't said it's a final season because they either may or may not have him signed by now. But if they don't, maybe they're still working on trying to get him signed, because without him, they don't do the show.
I think it would be hard to believe that Grant would walk away with the show without giving them a proper ending. I just don't know if he would do that. I mean, he seems to be much more invested. So,
like, I'm not saying he would just say to them like, "Haha, suckers, you're stuck now."
Yeah.
Like, I think there was probably a breaking point where they're kind of like, we need a contract signed by this point, or else we have to wrap up the season.
Yeah.
And either maybe that point has already passed or it's coming up soon, but they haven't announced it one way or the other.
Right.
He's not going to quit. Surely. I will be surprised.
I'd be surprised too, but it is very clear. Like, I mean, people have been saying it about how he looks tired even in some of the scenes. In person, his attitude's changed too in the last 2 years, you know. But I don't know if he has the same love to be in it. Like, he's not a kid being excited at Christmas anymore. It's now a job to him, you know.
But also, he's got a kid now, so obviously.
Oh yeah. He's got different priorities, just like Steven had, just like Melissa has. I mean, he is now looking at it, going, "Do I want to be in Vancouver, away from?" Because LA had made a post on Instagram or an interview recently where she said at the end of this season they will be moving back to LA. So if he does another season after this, that's flying back to Vancouver, flying to LA every week, just
basically
what
Candace is doing every week right now.
Wait, she goes home every weekend again?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh yeah. It's open season to go back again now.
Like, if you look at her Instagram, you can see that she's like poolside and out on the beach and stuff, like every weekend, pretty much.
So she literally just does it because she hates Vancouver that much.
Yes.
Like, yep, I'm going back to LA. But why not? Why go to LA? Why not go to somewhere else closer? I don't know.
Because she lives in LA.
It's fucking far. It's far. How long is the flight?
Probably
2.5,
about
3 hours.
Yeah.
Only 3 hours.
Yeah. It's
a slow flight's 3 hours.
Oh, and they're on like private jets or something, right?
No. they're not the guys from Supernatural. They're still flying a regular flight.
Yeah, they just probably get an upgraded seat, but it's a regular.
Yeah. I'm thinking Comic-Con. That's what I was thinking about.
No, Comic-Con they do, but for regular week going home, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a Radicals D with the $2 super chat says, "Did you notice they said after party on the Flash?" I did. Several people tweeted at me and they were like, "Shout out to the after party on the Flash." And I'm like, I mean, they watch it. Come on, they watch this afterwards. They get their ideas from us. That's what happens. They go there. They go, "We're going to do the exact opposite of what they say on the after party." Cody here with the $5 super chat and a Team Eric member. Thank you, Cody. Why do I feel like half of the event will be undone in some way? I truly believe. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. I think that partially what's happening is not reality. I think there's something else going on in the background that is going to not be permanent. Like, at some point, I feel like Despero, this would make me really mad if this is the case. but let's just put this out there. I think at some point Despero may have hijacked Barry's mind, and either Barry's perception of reality is different, or it's some sort of telepathic construct that he's created that Barry's in. The only thing that makes me think it's not totally that is because we did have the side story with Allegra and Chester about him and his creating that ray gun and blowing up the house and everything. I don't think that would have existed in a construct unless all of them were in the construct.
Yeah.
Now, all of them could be inside. It could very well be that all of them are inside of some reality that Despero's created, sort of like Supergirl with the gauntlets where they had to like do things to prove their worth or whatever. This could be Despero testing Barry to see if Barry is the person that he thinks he is. That's one theory that I have. The other one is that this is just a timeline that is going to be reset, and that's why it's kind of a bubble storyline. Because he said they would address some of the stuff, but a lot of it would not carry over beyond the 5 episodes. I think we're going to pick and choose the stuff that's going to stick, and other things will just get reverted. Probably like Joe's death. That's what I think is going to happen. What are your thoughts on this based on this episode? Canada Graphs, you go first.
Yeah, I am of that same mindset. I don't think this is a permanent timeline one way or the other. Either the timeline we're in is a different version of the universe,
right,
or it's going to get recorrected somehow. I don't know which it is, but there's no way they're sticking with Joe's death when he's a series regular.
Right.
There's no way Barry's going to do this thing in 2031. I do believe that Despero believes that this is our Barry Allen.
Yes, I do.
I sincerely believe he thinks that's him, but I think most people have come to the same conclusion either through what they've seen through spoilers or just theory crafting. This is a reverse Flash version of Barry.
Shout out to Canada Graph's blog. Shout out to Canada Graph's blog.
Me? But no, like I think if it's not a reverse Flash, mind messing thing going on, I think this has got to be some alternate timeline situation. That's the only other reason, and maybe that's how he finds that there's another, other timelines. Maybe he's accidentally run into a new timeline somehow. I don't know.
I think he leveled up so bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and I have a theory on that, a terrible theory that fans aren't going to like. Okay, so you know how right now we're just like, oh my God, he's finally got all these wicked ass powers that, we're like, oh yeah, this is the Flash we want to see when he's like spinning the villain around and doing all that stuff.
Tone it down.
What if because he's so powerful, he's messing things up, he has to level down and come back to boring ass Barry again.
Yeah.
Oh, not boring.
I feel like it will be that because he's not powerful.
Because how are they going to write 18 episodes of him walking up to a villain and going, "Gotcha, you two"? Like, they can't do it. Right.
So, Ben, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I am of the opinion and of the theory that I feel this is an alternate timeline situation we're in. I feel like it is a flashpoint, and I've explained this before, but I really do think the memory forgetting thing is like a big point, because in Flashpoint they made a huge deal out of, the more the timeline sets in, the more that they forget. And so I feel like it's a similar thing. I don't know exactly what's going on. I don't have like 100% like locked in theory, but I do think, yes, something's going on. It's either Despero messing with reality, or it's Reverse Flash who changed the timeline. But yeah, half of it's going to be undone for sure. Like, this, like I mentioned, all the stuff that happened in this episode, there was like 3 big things. Okay, spoiler alert, guys. But
yeah,
Joe dies. He's dead.
Well, you don't have to say spoiler. There's a thing in the corner that says Flash.
Okay, there's spoilers.
So, yeah.
All right. Star Labs is going to be totaled. It's going to be destroyed. It's quarantined right now, and yeah, so that's done. And then Barry's attacked the citizens. Has Barry done that before?
I don't think that he's ever done it without knowing what was going on. I think it's always been a reason for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and he looks really bad doing it. Like, he looks really evil. Like, he's doing it with intent in the TV report. So I think those 3 things are very permanent. Like, they're gonna have a big effect on the show and on like Barry himself. No Star Labs. Where are they gonna go? no, Joe, how has he forgot about this? How can he ever get over that? And then he's attacked the citizens. No one trusts him anymore. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be all taken back or half.
Okay. Well, we do know, and this is not really spoiler territory, is that we are going to see the Reverse Flash. That's been known for a while now that he's going to be in this somehow, some way. The spoilery part of it is that Canada Graphs and several other people on set have already seen pictures, and we've already talked about it and discussed it in the after party, of Grant, of the Barry we know, in a Reverse Flash suit with the tachyon device. So we don't know if that's a fabricated scenario from Despero, or if that's a younger Eobard Thawne who now looks like Barry Allen. If it's an Eobard that took over a Barry Allen from another timeline. If the Barry that we see attacking citizens is actually that version of Barry, the one that's in the Reverse Flash suit, or if he's completely mind controlled, or if that's Barry having to become the Reverse Flash because he doesn't have a choice because he has to do that to defeat Despero. We don't know, but it looks cool. So, I mean, there you have it. We have a super chat here from Joe. It's a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, you guys. Just a reminder, like I mentioned on Twitter, this is a mini series. It's not even a mini series, Joe. It's an event. And the idea of it being a crossover is just semantics. I mean, it's literally just how your opinion of what it is. I mean, the studio doesn't want to call it a crossover, probably for contractual obligations or whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact is, it's an event. It's not a mini series. A mini series would be not a regular TV show. So,
Yeah.
but thank you for the $5 super chat. I do appreciate it.
Grant referred to it as a crossover.
Yes, he did.
That's why there was so much argument about it that week. Because Eric Wallace said the opposite.
Eric Wallace is very adamant. He's like, it's not a crossover. It's not a crossover.
Literally 24 hours later, he said that.
Here's the thing, though. The reality is a crossover is an event. And an event can also be a crossover. So it doesn't even really matter. That's why I believe it's a contractual thing. I think it has to do with pay, and that's why they're doing it. That's my only thoughts on that.
They're saying you're coming for a guest spot on The Flash and not a crossover or something.
Right. So I'm going to quickly run through the things that Barry had to deal with this week, and then we're going to talk about Barry. So Barry had to deal with Despero, who claims he's evil. He's following him around everywhere, like either in reality or mentally. Barry's worried about Iris. He's dealing with that mind control meta, Zotar. He's been suspended by the CCPD because he's a mole. Kramer has to be the one to deliver that information. He walks into Star Labs. They say there's a radiation leak. This means that Star Labs could possibly have to be demolished. They also have to say goodbye to Gideon because Gideon is in Star Labs. It could give out information on Team Flash. They have to use the holograms there. Barry then goes to fight Zotar and gets whammied by Zotar, which has all of Team Flash scared of him and questioning whether or not he's still him. Then he doesn't remember any of this stuff happening to him. Then he has to battle Zotar again, who has telekinesis and telepathy now. And now Barry has to use this overload power, which, by the way, was very, very cool. Then he gets caught on TV running around and attacking civilians, looking like this evil Flash. And then he finds out that Joe dies. And then Barry gets attacked by Despero, and then he has to run for his life to the Hall of Justice. All of this happened in one episode. I mean...
Eric said in the interviews this is Barry's worst day. I think he was right.
I can't think... And several people said they thought that the Bloodworks storyline was worse or whatever. I think this is Barry's worst day. I know Bloodworks was awful, but...
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that whatever episode that was it episode 7 of that season where great episode, and I agree, a lot of bad stuff, but I think this one stepped it up by about 40 to 75%. You know?
Yeah. We have some super chats here. Radical Z with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Because I think some stuff will stick, like with Flashpoint. I agree with that. I also feel like causing Armageddon myself since I feel like this episode drove me mad. Also, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think some stuff will stick. What about you, Ben? You want to say something?
Yeah, I was thinking about this because, I mentioned Flashpoint before. So with Flashpoint, when they went back and altered things to kind of how they were, there was obviously big ramifications. And I think that's what we're going to be dealing with this season, the ramifications of whatever happens in this. I think they've mentioned that Armageddon is the setup for quite a few things.
Yeah, they did say that there's going to be things that are going to set up for the season.
Exactly. So I think we're doing the exact same thing as Flashpoint. We're going to have a few changes. maybe it's some character changes, maybe some new people being introduced. Maybe that's how we get Eddie back. I know it's probably time travel, but there's different things that could go down. But I definitely think some things will be changed for sure, like permanently.
Look who showed up. Look who showed
Yeah,
up.
I saw his comment.
I'm woke, Pagey. People like me more, you know. G'day, mate. Australian, yeah. You know, I got a great accent.
Did you just? I can't believe you just did that. That's hilarious. That's
saying
hilarious.
The one thing I know how to say in Australian, and it's still
G'day, mate.
Perfect. G'day, mate.
Yeah. All right. Cal Roswell, Team Eric member with the 190 super chat. Do you think Star Labs will get fixed? Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's going to get demolished because we know it's in other photos. We've seen some of the pictures and stuff like that, and the teasers. But just the thought of Star Labs getting destroyed got me a little worried because I'm like, does that mean Team Flash is going to end up in the basement of the CCC media building? Because that would have been absolutely awful for the storyline.
That way they can keep Iris in the story.
That's exactly what I thought. So, what did you think, Canada Graphs, when you saw this? Were you worried it was going to be it for Star Labs or no?
Well, from a pure business standpoint, I know it's not going to happen because that's set design that they've built up for 7 years that they don't want to just tear apart.
It's a big set.
Yeah, they could do it, but it would take them weeks to pull apart all of that and make something new out of it. That's weeks you don't have a space available in the middle of your filming season. I don't know, because you said that there's photos of it, but that's still during Armageddon. No one says it has to be torn down during Armageddon. I don't know how long inspection takes and to get the paperwork and all that, but we just finished talking about the semantics of their rules, but in theory, they could still tear it down in episode 6.
In real life, they're going to go to Canada in Vancouver and tear that building down in real life, and it's going to be
why not, right? It only gets used 30 times a year.
Yeah.
One follow-up I want to say from the last super chat about this.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
And it said about, I think some stuff will stick in Flashpoint.
Uh-huh.
We know that's a fact because he still has the gold boots in set photos after that. So some of the things that happen in Armageddon will definitely follow through.
Yeah. So really excited. Joe here with a $10 super chat follow-up on his comment from earlier. Oh, wait. What is Ben?
Got some sunnies, mate. That's what they say in Australia. Got some sunnies on. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure Paigey should have been around this week. So
Ben, just to warn you, Paigey's got a lot more free time now. He might come and get you.
Oh, yeah, true. He's going to come from Australia. For sure.
So Joe here with a $10 super chat. Thank you again, Joe, for contributing to the show. I said miniseries because it's one story taking place on one show within 4 to 5 episodes, whereas a crossover consists of one story taking place on multiple shows, not one. Yeah. I get the explanation. That's exactly what the disclaimer that Eric Wallace did when he talked about it. I would argue it's not a mini series because by definition, a mini series is a series that is tiny and is one thing. It's one season. It's not a continued story. So I get why you're saying that, but that's not what they're calling it. Their discrepancy is between event and crossover. I don't think I've heard anyone on their side call it a mini series. So you can call it that if you want. I just don't think that's the definition of what they're saying. They're saying their discrepancy is between event and crossover. And to be honest, I do appreciate your super chat, but I don't really. There's no reason to continue to go back and forth about this because I think it's kind of a non-factor in terms of what it is. The fans can call it whatever they want, just like they wanted to call the CW verse, and everybody still wants to call it the Arrowverse. It's a branding thing versus what people are actually going to call it when it comes down to it. But thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree.
Radical Z with $18 super chat. Was Armageddon a Flash story in the comics or Justice League? It was a story from the comics, but the one we're getting on the show is not the exact story from the comics. It's different. Ben, did you write an article about that for Screen Rant? About the difference between the Armageddon comic and this TV show? You should get on that, by the way. So it is a story from the comics, but it's very different on the show. It's sort of like how Flashpoint was different. So, maybe we'll talk about that more once it's over with. Maybe we can look at all the differences because I don't know how it's going to end. It may actually be more like the comics or not, but we'll see. But thank you for the super chat. So let's see, make sure, do we have any more super chats? Are we caught up? I think we're caught up there. So all the stuff that happened to Barry and the things with Star Labs, and we think Star Labs is going to I think Star Labs is definitely going to be back. Like you said, tearing it down. Actually, Star Labs is wild because it's been there since the beginning of the series. They're one of the few shows that's kept like basically the same primary set throughout all of its seasons so far. I think all the other shows at one time or another has changed it. Is that right? Am I remembering?
Arrow Cave had to be reconstructed. DEO had to be reconstructed. What are the other ones? Bat Cave is technically right now out of commission.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the cameos in this episode from Alex, because that's kind of interesting. So Alex was there on screen, contacting them via a Zoom meeting twice, and she basically confirmed that Kara and John are not on Earth, which I said this previously, that they would have to address Supergirl and why she's not there. Now, it's not a problem. I think that is totally a fine excuse. I don't have an issue with that. They said the same thing about Superman back in season 1 of Supergirl. So it's a fine excuse. I'm totally okay with that. There was a lot of people that said that they would not address it, that they would just not talk about it at all. And even in one of the interviews, they said they wouldn't. I'm glad they did it, but I also was right, because I said that they would have to. Because if you're going to bring over a side character or a secondary character from another show, it makes no sense to not explain why the main character isn't there. It just doesn't make sense. There has to be at least one line that's like, oh, they couldn't make it because of this reason. Otherwise, you're wondering why, with the exception of shows that are not on the air anymore, which is why Supergirl was kind of an iffy thing for me. I'm like, are they going to do it? Are they not going to do it? I was betting that they were, and they did. Black Lightning will probably address some of the stuff that happened on that show as well, because you're coming in from another series. So I feel that's fine. And she also confirmed that Despero is a mythological, like, cosmic being. They weren't even sure if that species and those stories were real. And this is the first time they've actually encountered one of them. And that Despero has the powers at the level of a Kryptonian, along with whatever the powers he has that are not Kryptonian, with like the mental powers and stuff like that. So what did you think of this cameo? And we know Alex is coming full on the show. Did you like the way this was handled and how they handled the stuff with Supergirl? Ben, I'll start with you.
Ben's muted?
Yeah.
No, he's not. Okay.
No. I really liked, like I said, hope you like sunglasses. I really liked it, and I'm trying to do Australian accent. I can't keep it up. It was really good. Just seeing her post Supergirl is just amazing. Like, for me as a Supergirl fan, I'm sure it was for a lot of people. And like, I know she wasn't physically there. She was there on the screen, but we know she's coming, so it's not a big deal. It's like a nice teaser. Like, we get more Alex. The more Alex, the better. But I like the way that they referenced Supergirl. However, I have some complaints about the reasoning. How often does Supergirl go off-world? She goes off-world if she's absolutely forced to, with like Slaver's Moon. That was in season 2. That was the one big time. Obviously, the Phantom Zone, but that's not by choice, right? So she doesn't actually deal with a lot of this stuff in outer space. So I feel like it would have been a better excuse to say, oh, Supergirl is really busy with this big villain in National City. But then again, people will be like, oh, who is this big villain, blah, blah, blah. But then I think the better explanation would be, oh, she's in the future fighting with a legion of superheroes.
Okay, I would have preferred that. Yeah.
Because that means she's 100% indisposed. If she's out in space, they can send a beacon and say, hey, Supergirl, come the frick back. We need to take down this big threat, Despero, and he's messing with the entire world. You're going to want to 100% come back with this.
Right.
Could mean the fate of the Earth. So I have that's my nitpick about that one line to do with Supergirl and Martian Manhunter. But then again,
John being off-world was fine because he would have probably gone to Mars, and
yeah, exactly.
Fine, so
maybe they're on Mars. Maybe it's actually like a white Martian thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I like the fact that they referenced them. It was exciting to hear their names once again. I'm not gonna lie. And it's great to see Alex back, and basically it's a nice teaser for what's to come, I think.
Right. What about you, Candigraphs? Any opinions on the way they handled the drop in there?
Yeah, I mean, so I was one of those people that was like, I don't think they explain it. And my reason was because then they have to explain why they're not there. They can't just say, oh, they're off world, but they did. Because all that does is that now has other people going, but where? What are they doing? Right? Like you've expanded that story out beyond just not having it.
Right.
On top of that, if there was, say they're off world, why couldn't they just like call up Clark and be like, can you fly up and get your cousin? Yeah. They never mentioned Clark in this series of people that are missing. There's so many holes in it.
Connect Superman and Lois to the Arrowverse. I really hope that they do it soon.
There's so many holes in this bandage situation to explain why Melissa and David couldn't come and film.
But I will say this proves why I was frustrated with how they left the show, because as much as I love the fairy tale ending for that show, and I'm absolutely fine with how they ended that, it's part of a shared universe. And it's on Earth with other characters.
Yeah,
and this is what happens. So
I think you said it, or someone else I saw say it. Like every time we have a crossover now, they're gonna have to explain why Kara can't be there.
Yeah, they will every time.
Every time now.
Because here's the thing: what if David wants to come back and be Martian Manhunter? He's gonna have to say why Kara's not there. Or what if they want to bring in Dreamer for some reason? She'll have to explain why Kara isn't there. So there's always going to have to be an excuse for why she isn't there. And that is one of the things that bothered me about how they ended Supergirl. Really, the only thing that bothered me was that, because I really liked how everybody got a very good ending otherwise, with the exception of Nixley and Lex, but everyone else.
Like that said, at the end of the day, Supergirl writers, it's not their job to worry about what other shows have to do down the line.
That's exactly it.
You know?
Yeah. Well, see, that's one of the beauties, and this is a put on my Stan hat here or whatever for the MCU. But one of the good things about that is when they lock in their properties, they tell the writers of these properties, you can do all of this stuff, but there are like 3 or 4 things that you cannot change.
These are etched in stone.
Yeah, and that's the biggest issue with the way it ended it, because Supergirl ended as if it doesn't have any responsibility for the other shows, and I think that's great, but it's also a problem for crossovers. Now, here's the thing. If crossovers were not a thing, it wouldn't matter. Like, if there were no crossovers ever, then who cares? But we know there's going to be crossovers. So, completely off-topic question from Joe here, but we'll talk about this, a $5 super chat. Okay, on another note, if you haven't seen it yet, how did y'all like Ghostbusters Afterlife? To me, it's 100% better than Ghostbusters 2016. Have either of you seen this movie?
I have not.
Okay. So, Ben, without spoilers, did you like it or did you not like it? Oh, wait, you're muted, Ben. Muted.
Freaking muted. It's just there's a train outside.
Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had a really good time with Ghostbusters Afterlife. I thought it was really fun. I really like McKenna Grace, the new kid who leads it. She's really good. I like the links to the originals. There is some things that I wasn't like a big fan of. Something that happens nearer to the end. Not going to spoil it, but that's just like kind of nitpicky. So yeah, overall, really fun. I would recommend it to people. I think most people are going to like it who are Ghostbusters fan, because it feels just like a fun Ghostbusters film, you know?
So I'm one of the people that actually went and saw the original movies in the theaters when I was a kid, because they actually came out.
Me too.
I was younger. So I love Ghostbusters 1. I think Ghostbusters 2 gets a bad rap. I think Ghostbusters 2 is fun too, as well. It's considered to be the worst of the films, of the original 2 films or whatever. I don't think it's, I think because of the timing, comparing it to 2016 is something that a lot of people are doing, and that's fine. But think of this, Ghostbusters 2016 is not actually connected to the original films. It's like anytime we compare something as two similar properties, that's fine. But this Ghostbusters Afterlife is a connection to the original films, whereas 2016 is like an Elseworld story.
Yeah.
So for me, I enjoyed Afterlife more than Ghostbusters 2016, but I would not compare them side by side because it's not really
no, they're very different as well.
Very different, very, very different. But I will say that both of them could have existed. If they wanted to do a sequel to 2016, they still could, because this movie doesn't change anything from the 2016 movie because they're not connected.
Yeah. This one's more of an adventure. It's less about just comedy or anything. Like, obviously it's very funny at points, but it's more about exploring the kids and the way that they kind of become Ghostbusters, and like it's their journey, and it's a fun journey. So I think people will like it.
This is interesting. Cody here says that this was the original plot of the original third movie. So I didn't know that.
That's cool.
See,
interesting.
It's funny that this came up because a couple of days ago when I was on the phone with one of my buddies, he was like, he's going to see that movie. And I'm like, why? Because I had never even heard this movie was coming out until the days it was coming out.
Right.
And I was under the impression that it's just a sequel to the 2016 movie.
Right.
And you know what it reminded me of when I was told that it wasn't? The whole Suicide Squad situation.
Okay, so this is a good segue into that. So this is exactly why when people were talking about why DC canceled its New Gods project because of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and they didn't understand, they're like, well, it's not connected, so what difference does it make? It's about the public understanding that it's not connected. That's why this is a prime example of that. And you're not the only person that said that. And that's why a lot of people had confusion about Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad because of the fact that not only are the titles super similar, but some of the characters were the same. So that made it confusing as well. So there is a thing about brand loyalty and understanding the product that they're putting out. So you make a really good point. That's a good point.
Because I didn't know. I had zero idea that this had nothing to do with the 2016 one.
That's crazy.
And when he told me the concept, I was like, that's interesting enough that I might go see it. Now, I haven't yet, but I'm now at least in the camp of thinking I might go see it. Whereas a week ago, if you'd told me, you're going to see the new Ghostbusters, I'd be like, why would I go see a sequel to a movie I didn't watch the first time?
Right.
All
right, so this is the 10-minute warning, guys. We're going to wrap it up in 10. We'll around 10 minutes-ish. So we want a couple last-minute things on the Flash, and if you guys have any last-minute super chats to get in to support the show, please feel free to send them through. I do appreciate them. Okay, so I want to talk briefly about Cecile, because a lot of people in the chat were talking about Cecile. My only critique of her, because I think she's a pretty consistent character in terms of what they have her do on the show, as a character. Her powers confuse the living shit out of me because was telepathic when she was pregnant. And then when she had her baby, she became empathic, which is like telepathy, but more about emotions. And she was able to use that to detect people lying and stuff like that. And I was okay with all that. But now it seems like she goes back and forth between what her powers can actually do, because last season she had the powers of the top, I think, for one episode or something like that. It's either last season or season before that. I think we need to revisit what Cecile's powers actually are at this point, because I feel like even in this episode, she's trying to go up against Despero, and he's not empathic, he's telepathic. And she's fighting him with empathy. And he's like, but my powers are so much greater than yours. They're not even the same powers. It's just really, really confusing. Any thoughts on Cecile as a character? Do her powers confuse you? I'll go with Canada Grabs first on this one.
I have at this point just accepted that whatever they need her to do is what her ability is. I know you're laughing at it, and it is a bit of a joke, but I just accepted it.
Yeah.
I don't think they know. If you went to Eric Wallace, ran into him on the street and be like, explain Cecile's powers to me. He can't. He just can't. He could try and put together a word salad to make it sound like he did, but he won't.
Yeah.
It's whatever they need her to do.
What about you, Ben?
No, it's literally whatever they need her to do. I'm the same. I'm like, okay, so something's happening. Literally, the only reason she has powers is for them as a literal plot device to be like, okay, we're gonna have this character say, "Oh, Barry, I feel something terrible happening. Central City, there's something terrible. The villain is over there. I can sense it." That's literally the only reason for it. Or it's any other thing that happens. I mean, we've had lots of different things, but yeah, that's pretty much what it boils down to. Is like, yeah, this is what they need in the moment. And I guess they don't care how stupid it is because it's pretty stupid, right? Because she's just their excuse for, she's a MacGuffin, basically, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, do you think they need to address it, or are you good with them just leaving it as it is, like right now?
I think they should just leave it as it is, roll with it, whatever. I mean, ideally, she would lose her powers because, number one, she's not pregnant anymore. Just saying.
Yeah.
Right? Wasn't that the whole thing at first?
What now?
That she was pregnant, and so she got powers.
So supposedly, and guys, correct me in the chat because I know you will. She had powers because of dark matter pregnancy or something like that. Like, it was like when she was pregnant, they thought that maybe Jenna had powers and that Cecile was getting powers through Jenna. But then after Jenna was born, Cecile still had powers. It just wasn't telepathy.
See, I even find that confusing because how would Jenna get powers unless one of her parents originally had powers?
Exactly.
As far as we know, Joe's the dad. So.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense. Plus the fact that wouldn't that make it so that every woman who is pregnant with a metahuman would have some weird meta powers?
Yeah.
Had powers. So
you could have like a new TV show, which is the Mums of Central City.
The real moms of Central City. That would be hilarious. So Joe with the $5 super chat. Okay, I know you're not reviewing it anymore, but have you got caught up with Legends yet? So Ben, are you watching Legends at all? Okay. Canada Graphs, are you watching Legends at all?
No.
Okay. I am not watching the current season. I am on the final episode of last season, and I'm going to do a watch along for Team Eric members next week sometime, I think. So what that means is, let me explain this. I will be watching it, and anybody that wants to join me can. If you want to jump on, Graphs, if you want to jump on, because I'm just going to watch it on Netflix. We're not going to show the episode on the stream, but we will have a timer going. So if you join us for the stream, you'll be able to see where we are in the episode, and we can talk about it while we're watching it. And we're going to do that. But here's the caveat to that. It will be chats for members only, and let me explain why. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't want to get spoiled on stuff, and I don't want to spoil stuff from next season until I'm done with the episode. And I know for a fact there will be someone who comes in here who is not a team member that will spoil something during the stream. So unfortunately, the chat will be restricted to members only, and that's the only reason why. But everyone will be able to watch along with us and listen to it, and obviously come back and watch it on playback. So we'll revisit that soon and figure that out, because I'm not caught up on the season. But hopefully very soon I will be, because I hear the season is much better. All right, we have one last thing I want to talk about, which happens at the end of the episode. But first, let's answer the super chat. Cal, with the burning question that everybody's thinking about, do you think we'll see baby Jenna again? I'm just going to toss this in the air, you guys. Who do you care? Do you not care about baby Jenna? What's the?
I mean, I know. I mean, obviously, that is the only reason the show's still on the air, is so we can get the Jenna story for the spinoff. So we know, obviously, 5 years down from now, they will finally get the spinoff. But no, honestly, if they said tomorrow, like, oh yeah, Jenna just doesn't exist, I'd be like, yeah, of course she doesn't. Like, Cecile's been imagining this the whole time.
You want to hear my thoughts on this? This is something shows do a lot. Is she's about 2 years old now?
She's suddenly going to be 6.
Right, she'll be old enough so that she's not a baby anymore. Yeah. Exactly. She'll come back and she'll be like a toddler, or she'll be like a first grader or something like that. Because it is, and Canada Graphs, I want to hear your opinions on this, and then we're going to move on. It is extremely difficult to film with babies because of the way that filming structure works. And it's hard with kids in general. But with babies, I've heard that it's really difficult to film with babies. So it would not make a lot of sense to keep her as a 2 or 3 year old child any longer. It would make more sense to like age her up a little bit, I would think.
I think it's the same in the US, but I know here in Canada there are really hard guidelines about how long you can have a child on set too, and I'm sure it's even more for a baby.
Yeah.
So you can't do a 4-minute scene with a baby. You just can't. That's a day. That's an entire day at set for them. So the most you're ever going to have the baby on screen is 12, 15 seconds here or there, and that's it. And why even have the character at that point?
This comment, child services took her away because of neglect.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, they did bring her up in the episode. They said Cecile and Jenna were having a hard time. How is Jenna having a hard time? Does she even know what a Joe is?
She doesn't even know what's going on.
What do you know?
So Introverted Unicorn, this is something I've seen a lot with shows, is you have to have twin children because of the child labor. So yeah.
I mean,
Cal says she does not exist. So, and Robert says Legends is awesome. So we'll see. We get there. Anyway, all right. So the last thing we want to talk about before we wrap this up is the ending of the episode. We're going to skip through. I had some other things, but let's go ahead and skip over here. So the end of the episode, we get Black Lightning. Jefferson shows up in the Hall of Justice, and Barry's obviously upset because of everything that's happened. And it looks like Jefferson's going to be this stoic Thawne / Wells / Joe character in this crossover or this event. I don't want to make anybody upset. This event. He's going to be that character.
Miniseries.
Yeah. I got really emotional because I'll be honest, Black Lightning, I absolutely love that show. And I know a lot of people didn't watch it as much as I did. I really, really love that show. And I love Jefferson as a character because he's an old dude like me who has powers and he's out fighting and he's doing cool shit. So seeing him back makes me excited because I can relate with that. And it makes me feel like it makes me feel involved. So
are you a superhero, Eric?
I am secretly. I am. Relate? I'm sorry. So having him back is great. Plus, I'm really excited to hear if he's going to drop any information on what's going on with our characters because we didn't get the spinoff from with Painkiller and the daughters on the show. So thoughts on Black Lightning? Are you guys, how do you feel it's moving along? Are you excited to have Jefferson as part of it? Because I feel like he's going to be an important part, especially based on the previews for the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously, having Black Lightning in, great. I think everybody from the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover was like, we want to see more of him with Barry. That was one of the top 3 things people had out of that crossover is like, we want more Barry and Jefferson scenes. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get that. I don't know what we'll find as far as like backstory on what happened on Black Lightning. I don't know if they'll go too much into that because why? I mean, will anyone be sitting around with burning questions about what's going on there? Probably not many.
Oh, so, did you raise your hand, Ben? Did Ben raise his hand? Well, no, I won't be upset. I'm just curious if they will. I like Jefferson as a character. So,
well, I think most people like Jefferson as a character, which is why they brought him in. Like, it's just he's just there to, like you said, he's literally there to fill that Joe Wells, whoever else role until Joe comes back. You know.
What about you, Ben? Are things starting to heat up for you? Because now we've had Ray, we have the Alex coming into the show, we have Jefferson, and we know we're getting some more heroes or whatever. Are you feeling excited now that you're seeing everything is sort of like coming together on the show?
Yeah, and especially the way they ended the last episode with Jefferson being like, Barry, what the hell is going on? And he just replies, injustice.
Yeah, that was exciting. I was
like, oh, yeah.
You know what made me sad, Ben?
What?
Can you guess what made me sad from that scene?
The Arrow costume?
No. I wasn't sad about that. Seeing Kara's chair there, knowing that she's not going to be sitting in it, that made me sad from that scene. I was like, you know what? I believe Ben. I think there should be a Mon-El chair there. Just bring Mon-El back and let him become part of the Super Friends.
I'm out of here.
All right, so we got a few super chats, and then we're going to say goodbye for the evening. Multi-topic talk with a $5 super chat. Just showing support, a lot better than season 6, but as bad as season 5 or 4. Good night, guys. I think talking about Legends, most likely.
I would hope it's Legends.
Wait, no. Or Flash.
Better than season 6. We're on season 7 of Legends right now.
Yeah, I know, but season 6 was a very controversial season of Flash as well. I guess you're talking about Legends multi-topic, and I'm going to go with that and say thank you for the super chat. And yeah, I'm actually excited to see what's going on with Legends. I've heard good stuff, but y'all have catfished me on this before. So I know that there's a possibility that it's going to be bad, and you just want to see me rage about it. So I have a feeling that could be somebody's intent with that. So Cool Blue with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. And what a cute dog in that photo. Hello, love you guys, and your opinion of which episode of The Flash season 8 is better, 1 or 2. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. So I'm the only person out of the three of us that probably celebrated actual Thanksgiving, and we had a Friendsgiving.
Well, this week.
Yeah, we had a Friendsgiving, which is what a lot of people are calling it now, where we got together with family and friends, and we just did. We made probably 10 different pies to take to this.
You make pies?
So, yeah, we do pies for Friendsgiving.
I thought you do a roast dinner.
Well, we do, but we also have dessert. You don't have dessert when you.
You mean dessert? What pies?
Yeah. So we did buttermilk. We did a pumpkin. We did a sweet potato. We did a chocolate. We did a raspberry.
Oh, chocolate.
We did a what was the other one?
There had to be an apple one there.
Yeah. There was a lot of we did a lot of different ones. Anyway, we have like a bunch of like half of pies in the fridge. So I'm gonna be giving away pies on the after party next time. So which episode? Okay, so I'm gonna say that I actually enjoyed episode 2 better than 1 because I felt like 2 was just crazier. What do you guys think? 1 or 2 of the season? 2.
Oh, okay. two by a mile.
Okay, there we go. Thank you so much. Joe here with a $5 super chat. I'm just waiting for my favorite character. So is this a troll, Joe? Is this a $5 troll on the after party? You're waiting for your favorite character to return, Mia Smoke. Okay, so I'm going to put this out there. There is a part of me. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm lucky Paige is in here. There's a part of me that is somewhat, just a tiny bit, curious about how they're going to wrap up that story, because it felt so completely wrong to end Arrow with a cliffhanger for a spinoff series that did not happen. So I hope that this does in some way put a bookend on that story so that when she leaves, I feel like we've gotten some sort of conclusion to it. That's what I'll say about the Mia Smoke stuff. Y'all have any thoughts on that at all?
I would also hope that they have a 40-second scene where they just wrap up what happened in the future. But I also want to point one thing out. I had to laugh when the synopsis came out for it. Uh-huh. You know how all the Felicity fans, the Olicity fans, have just been like cheerleading that Mia Smoke is coming?
Yeah.
They called her Mia Queen in the synopsis.
Oh, did they? I didn't even see that.
Yes.
What?
So her name is officially Mia Queen again. So I had to laugh at that.
Okay, so Joe did say the super chat here says that correction, Paige's favorite character.
Oh, he's talking to me.
So I think he's talking to you.
My favorite character.
So
Crikey, mate.
And I think I saw one more super chat here. It was from Joe. $5 super chat. Yes, we did see it and we corrected it. Thank you for the continued support. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I think that was the last super chat. All right. From the chat now, what I want to ask you is, I'm not scoring episodes anymore on the reviews, but I will sort of talk about that here. On a scale, and I want both of you to answer, of 1 to 10, what would you have rated this week's episode of The Flash out of 1 to 10 if you had to give it a numeric score?
I probably have to give it a 10 just because I'm sure I can actually sit there and find nitpicks, but it is one of the top 10 episodes the show's had.
A 10? Okay, cool. Sure. All right.
Just think about it, okay? We got to see Star Labs get taken away from. We got to see Joe die. Like, how many things happened in that episode that were just like, are you nuts? Like, yeah. I'll give it a 10.
Okay.
That being
All
said,
right.
I've probably given about 15 episodes of the show a 10 over the years, so
What
it's not a shocking thing.
All right. What about you, Ben? Now that he dropped the 10 on us.
Oh my god. Jeez.
No pressure, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not top 10 for me. Sorry about
Oh, wow.
that. Maybe when I rewatch it. It's a very good episode, but I feel like half of season 2 is like already better, but you know. It's a very good episode, and
Yep.
a lot of stuff went down, and it makes me excited for the next episodes, which is very cool. So I'm gonna give it a 8.5.
Okay.
8.5.
Ben
I
likes
really
you
liked
at
it.
So Who Cares? Wow.
Best episode ever.
Yeah. So
Wow.
somebody was asking about me giving letter scores instead of number scores. I'm not giving anything in my reviews anymore. I'm just saying whether I liked it or not.
You know what you should start doing, Eric?
What's that?
Give an emoji score. No one does those.
I should do those. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so I'll start
Just
doing out
face one episode.
I'll be like, I give it a, and then the emoji will just pop up in the corner or whatever's going on there. So there we go. All right. So just to wrap this up before I go, in case anybody's curious, History of Arrowverse Part 2 will be coming out this weekend. I'm not doing a Batwoman episode review, but I am going to do a Batwoman mid-season discussion video where I talk about like the whole first 7 episodes or whatever of this season. So that will come out maybe Sunday or Monday at the latest, but History of the Arrowverse will definitely be out this weekend. So just so everyone is aware. I'm trying to do a live stream with the review for Hawkeye on Sunday with Omega and Cyber Ninja, but we will see if we get around to it. I really, really want to do it, but with it being a holiday weekend, I don't know what everybody's plans are, so I'll have to talk to them and see where everything's at. But I want to thank my guests today. We had a woke leveled up Pagey over here, which has been the DC TV show. So thank you for joining me, and hopefully he'll be here more often so we can give him shit about everything. And we just have a regular leveled up Pagey down here with Canada Grabs, who just showed up as a leveled up Pagey. Who is not on set right now because of the holiday weekend, but I'm sure he'll be back again so we can have him to chat more about Batwoman, because I know you and I both watch Batwoman, so it's
off until January, so I won't have much input on that.
Right. So anyway, thank everybody so much for coming, and we will see everyone next time. Take care. We're out. Any last words, woke leveled up Pagey, with your sunnies on?
Just good day, mate, and